Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? It is RPG a Day, day 3, and so the question today is, how do you find out about new RPGs? So I already watched Runeslinger's video. Anthony cheats because he's on the other side of the world, so he's, filming these things. He's a day ahead of us. So I already watched that one. I identified with some stuff he said. Lee, your humble game master, I know I just saw that came up too, so he's already released this one. Haven't watched that one yet. But I related to what Anthony said because back in the day, in the dawn of time, there was Dragon Magazine, and we found out about other games that way. I didn't know anybody locally that played any other games besides Dungeons and Dragons. And by that time, also, I saw things like MERP and all this kind of stuff that was out in Traveller. But I had to choose what I was going to spend my money on because I made my own money. I didn't have. I choose. What am I going to spend my money on? So I spent it on things like record albums. I bought actual LPs back in the day, and bass guitar lessons and guitar lessons, and buying new guitars and amplifiers and all that stuff. So I had to choose, and I had my first edition. Where is it? First edition Dungeons and Dragons. You can see probably right about there behind me. I had games, so I really didn't play anything else. Now, I quit playing around 1990. Life showed up. I come back into the hobby, so I start hearing about other games. First off by the people locally that were playing things like Pathfinder or 4th edition or whatever. But I started to become involved in forums, and I started hearing about all these other games that were available now. And so I became interested over time. Checked out a lot of the OSR type stuff. But then as I continued to get involved, watching other people's YouTube videos, get involved in things like the RPG Brigade, check out forums and what have you, I started to become intrigued by other games that people had mentioned. And primarily what happened was I became friends with other people. I'd watch their content, I'd see what they said, and I kind of resonated with them in one way, shape, or form. And I figured, well, what they said was kind of intriguing. Maybe it wasn't that we always agreed all the time, but they presented their ideas really well. They were really enthusiastic about a particular game, but not just saying, oh, this is great, but kind of explaining how it worked, why it was cool, what they liked about it. And so I became more intrigued about games that way. And that's still the case today. I've become, friends with people or respect people. And when they start to promote something or they're really hot on something, then I get interested too. And sometimes I look and say, not for me. But, sometimes I look and decide, hey, I think I'll try this. It sounds intriguing. Other times I'll watch a channel. I hear about something, that I'm unfamiliar with, but somebody starts talking about something, they start promoting it or just explaining how it works, and I become intrigued that way. So a lot of it is just plain old through, the media, through the community itself, online at large. And, especially, once I develop relationships with people, then I'm more comfortable, checking out what they have to say about these games. That's where I get my, that's where I hear about new ones. And of course, sure, yeah, I've backed some Kickstarters. I bought some stuff from some companies. They're happy to tell me what's going on. So I'm pretty pumped that there's going to be an expansion for All for One. I've become aware of that through the company Triple Ace themselves. I know there's some other expansions or some other things coming down the pike from Triple Ace, I believe, for like the Leagues of Adventure stuff or the things they were trying to release later on, more Leagues of Cthulhu stuff after that Kickstarter, etc. Exile Games, I missed a Kickstarter, but I can see that there's something, I think it's like Perils of Mars, is going to be available sooner or later. So I find out that way. But mostly through other people I've actually developed, relationships with, or, at least forged some alliance with in the community. So I hear it from the community. That's my answer. What's your answer? How do you hear about new RPGs? Or new to you RPGs?